to the Constitution.
I think the reason that he didn't want this out is because, first of all, he's all over the files. He's all over these emails.
But no criminal wrongdoing.
Doesn't matter that it's not criminal wrongdoing. It's embarrassing. It's mortifying. Do you think Donald Trump wants to hear Epstein, his close friend of many years before they had that breakup, talk about him being insane and having dementia, and talk about his financial malfeasance? Remember, that is the thing that most gets to Trump.
I woke up this morning, I'm in bed, my wife comes out of the bathroom, she's got her phone, she goes, Trump tweeted you should be fired again. I was like, oh. And then I went downstairs and made bagels for the kids. It's like, late last night, the Angry Orange posted, why does ABC Fake News keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air? Why do the TV syndicates put up with it? Also, totally biased coverage. Get the bum off the air. I'm the bum. I'm the bum. And he posted this, I think this is interesting, at 12:49 a.m., 11 minutes after the show ended on the East Coast, which is nice. He watches us live. Hi, Mr. President. How are you? Thanks for watching us on TV instead of on YouTube. We appreciate that, and I'll tell you, it's viewers like you who keep us on the air, ironically.
So, Donald Trump called for Jimmy Kimmel to be fired. Again, posted it on Truth Social at 12:49 in the morning, which Kimmel was quick to point out was exactly 11 minutes after his show ended on the East Coast. And Kimmel's response? Pure gold. He looked directly into the camera and said, Mr. President, I admire your tenacity. If you're watching tonight, which I presume you are, how about this? I'll go when you go, okay? We'll be a team. Let's ride off into the sunset together like Butch Cassidy and the Suntan Kid. And until then, if I may borrow a phrase from you, quiet, piggy.
It's also sweet that even in the middle of the biggest sex scandal in the history of the American presidency, he takes precious time on the toilet to post about our show. Keeps saying we have bad ratings, and you should listen to him, because if anyone knows about bad ratings, it's that guy.
President Trump's approval rating is tanking.
Plunging to a new low.
A new low, even among Republicans.
That's the lowest level of his second term.
That is the lowest it's been in his second term.
It is at a low of the second term.
The lowest of his second term.
La aprobación del presidente Donald Trump se desploma a los niveles más bajos.
Más lagos, what does that mean, Guillermo?
His rating is very low.
Oh, so that's bad.
Yeah, bajo, low, yes.
I have honestly lost count now of how many times the president has demanded I be pulled off the air. I mean...
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird situation, and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Attorney General, what are you, we talked about how you fix the DOJ.
Man, talk about deceptive editing on an issue that...
Isn't that what they sued CBS and 60 Minutes over?
Now, if you don't know where that quiet piggy line came from, buckle up. Because Trump actually called a female reporter Piggy on Air Force One when she asked him about Epstein. Just looked at Bloomberg News correspondent Catherine Lucy and snapped, Quiet, piggy. This is the President of the United States, folks, and Kimmel threw it right back in his face on national television. But here's the thing, Kimmel isn't fighting this battle alone. He's got backup from someone who's been absolutely demolishing Trump for almost a decade now, Navarro. And when these two team up, Trump completely loses his mind.
Yeah, but listen, the fact that, and it's absolutely true, I can attest to this, when Donald Trump attacks you, it's like the gates of hell open up and every little demon goes through them and comes at you. So yes, that part is true. Do I think she's afraid? I don't think afraid. And I have said from the beginning that we should give her the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't mean we forget QAnon conspiracies. It doesn't mean we forget Jewish space lasers.
She never said Jewish space lasers. That's an important correction.
It doesn't mean that we forget some, the way she acted at the State of the Union. It doesn't mean that we forget any of that. But it does mean that this is a new Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think she's got anything to win from this. Listen, her congressional district in Georgia is plus 20 Republican. That means that, there's a lot more Republicans. If Donald Trump actually does choose to primary her, it could cost her her job.
Well, isn't that the reason that most Republicans in Congress don't go up against
And here's what she said.
They're scared to lose their job, and
Here's
now
what she
maybe
tweeted.
threats.
Let me take you back to where Ana Navarro became a household name, October 2016. The Access Hollywood tape had just dropped. You know the one. Trump bragging about grabbing women. And Ana Navarro went on CNN and did something nobody expected. She said the word on live television multiple times. When Trump supporter Scotty Nell Hughes told her to stop using that word because her daughter was watching, Navarro fired back with one of the most iconic moments in cable news history. She said, "Don't tell me you're offended when I say that word, but you're not offended when Donald Trump says it."
Talk about a snowflake, this guy. Every 5 weeks, he flips out and wants me fired. If you got this many threats from a neighbor, you'd have no problem getting a restraining order. The judge would be like, yeah, it sounds like the guy's nuts. Boom. It's disturbing. And you've done this before. You tried to get me fired in September. It didn't work. Mr. President, I admire your tenacity. If you're watching tonight, which I presume you are, how about this? I'll go when you go, okay? We'll be a team. Let's ride off into the sunset together like Butch Cassidy and the Suntan Kid. And until then, if I may borrow a phrase from you, quiet, piggy. Okay? We never stop.
When people say that he was doing financial shenanigans. And it's also, listen, it is Trump's circle. Circles in New York and circles in Palm Beach. There are a lot of rich, powerful men who are maintaining a relationship. I don't know if implicated, because, they were having all sorts of, but I'll tell you what they are implicated in. They are implicated in rehabbing Epstein's image after he had served jail. They are implicated in accepting him back in polite society after they knew that he was a registered sexual predator.
Is that including Trump?
No, listen, Trump, by then they had gotten into a fight over a real estate deal. But let's remember what Trump said about Epstein in 2002. He likes women just as much as I do, and he likes them on the younger side. Bottom line here, and this is what should disgust us, I think so many people knew, had an inkling, should have known what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, if not before 2008 when he got put in jail, then certainly after 2008. But they chose to look the other way because they think that rich and powerful men can do whatever the hell they want without any accountability.
The clip went absolutely viral, and Navarro wasn't done. A few days later, Hughes tried to compare Trump's comments to 50 Shades of Grey, said sex unfortunately sells as some kind of excuse. And Navarro, she looked at her and said, "Everything you just said is 50 Shades of Crazy. To compare running for president to an erotic film is crazy. If he wants to be held to that standard, great, then go write The Art of the Groping." The art of the groping, that's the kind of line you simply cannot script. And that's been Ana Navarro's superpower ever since.
Well, look, when I first saw the tweet this morning, I was frankly disgusted. I thought to myself, this dude has got such a fixation with women and blood. What is wrong with him? And then you remember that this dude, this disgusting dude, is the president of the United States. And you realize just how much he is diminishing the presidency of the United States. You realize that what he is doing is not just acting for Donald Trump. He's acting for all of us. He's acting for our president. And he is embarrassing. He is shameful. He is disgusting. And I'll say this about Republicans. I'm really tired of hearing words like disappointed, like disturbed, like I'm bothered, like I wish he wouldn't do it. It's time that somebody looks at the camera and looks at him and calls him up and says, listen, you crazy lunatic 70-year-old man baby, stop it. You are now the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, and you need to stop acting like a mean girl.
She comes up with these devastating one-liners that cut right through Trump's nonsense. If you're enjoying this deep dive into how Kimmel and Navarro have been exposing Trump, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we've got so much more to cover. Fast forward to August 2024, the Democratic National Convention, and who do they get to host the second night? Ana Navarro, a woman who was a Republican strategist for Jeb Bush, a woman who worked with John McCain. And she stood on that stage and systematically compared Donald Trump to communist dictators.
I think it's why this weekend he's also made a turn, I'm having a hard time following it, on Venezuela and whether he's going to bomb them or negotiate with them. I can't figure it out.
The Senate today sent the bill to the White House. Now, usually when Trump gets a bill, he declares bankruptcy and doesn't pay it. But this one, he's going to have to sign, or at least he says he's going to sign it, which means there's about maybe a 12% chance he will. Trump hasn't been this nervous about signing something since Don Jr.'s birth certificate.
She told the crowd, "Let's be serious. Donald Trump and his minions call Kamala a communist. I know communism. I fled communism from Nicaragua when I was 8 years old. I don't take it lightly." Then she started listing what dictators actually do. They attack the free press and call them the enemy of the people. They put their unqualified relatives in cushy government jobs. They refuse to accept elections when they lose and call for violence to stay in power. Then she looked at the audience and asked, "Do any of those things sound familiar?" She didn't even have to say Trump's name. Everyone knew exactly who she was describing.
That is quite the closing message to women, whether you like it or not.
Well, if you ask all the women who have accused him of sexual harassment, if you ask the women who have accused him of rape, if you listen to what he said on that Access Hollywood tape, you realize that Donald Trump is a man who has a long history of doing things, whether women like it or not. I find it offensive too. Women don't want to be protected by Trump. They want to be protected from Trump.
We're carefully following the path of Hurricane Epstein right now. It is a Category 5. It's expected to make landfall sometime very soon. We are now one step closer to answering the question, what did the president know and how old were these women when he knew it?
Around that same time, Navarro posted something on Instagram that went absolutely viral. A list called Things I Trust More Than Trump. The original list included gems like Flint, Michigan tap water, gas station sushi, Bill Cosby as a bartender, and a Casey Anthony daycare. But Navarro added her own items, a movie role from Harvey Weinstein, an invitation to church from Tom Cruise, dinner with Jeffrey Dahmer, and my personal favorite, JD Vance alone on my living room couch. That post got over 50,000 likes and spawned thousands of people adding their own suggestions. Meanwhile, Trump was probably having a meltdown somewhere because that's what he does when people mock him effectively. Speaking of meltdowns, let's talk about what happened when the Epstein files became the biggest story in the country, because both Kimmel and Navarro have been absolutely relentless on this topic, and Trump cannot handle it. Back in July 2025, Navarro went on The View and had to be bleeped because she was so fired up. She called complete BS on anyone referring to Trump and Epstein as just associates. She said, "I keep hearing in the media, Trump supporters and media folks refer to them as associates. I call bullshit on that."
Because we just won't take it. We won't vote with you. We won't work with you. I can't start talking about tax reform. I can't start talking about healthcare reform because I can't get past the fact that we have a president who lacks the sufficient character. We have a president who is mean. We have a president who is nasty. We have a president who is immature, unstable, and just acts like a crazy person with anybody who attacks him because he's got thin skin and he is never going to pivot. And anybody around him, whether it's his daughter, his chief of staff, his wife, who I remind you had said her signature issue was going to be fighting against online bullying, or any Republican on the Hill, stop enabling him. Confront this and confront this hard, or it will never stop and it will embarrass all of us. It will take the presidency low, low, low.
I suspect the president is not going to accept your advice, but what do you believe he needs to do to fix this?
Yesterday, both the House and Senate voted to release the long-withheld files related to a man who considered himself to be Trump's closest friend for more than a decade, the late sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. The vote in Congress went 427-1. It was such a landslide, Trump might actually be able to rebury the Epstein files under it.
They were not associates. They were incredibly close friends for 15 years. There's all sorts of pictures of them partying together, socializing. They flew in each other's planes. Epstein attended Trump's wedding. This is not an associate. This is not a colleague. This is not an acquaintance. They were very close friends. She also shut down the narrative that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep. She pointed out they actually got into a fight over a real estate deal in Palm Beach. That's what ended their friendship, not some principled stand against a predator. Then in November 2025, Navarro said the quiet part out loud on The View. She blamed white, rich, powerful, entitled men for blocking the full release of the Epstein files. And the White House, they completely lost it. They released an official statement calling her a TDS liberal and claiming she only cares about Epstein because she wants to weaponize it against Trump. Let that sink in.
And as you might have guessed, Republicans are again screaming and crying about election fraud. It's weird how it's only fraud when they lose, right? I mean, what are the chances? This was not a good night for the president. Everything he touched was a loser. Trump hasn't been this embarrassed since he found out there was a Donald Trump Jr. But don't worry. If you're tired of all the losing, fear not, he's got an excuse. In fact, he's got two of them. He wrote, Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the two reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight. Now, if Republicans had won and he wasn't on the ballot, would he take credit for that? Oh, yes, he definitely would, but he lost. And then he posted this. He posted, and so it begins, which was either a response to Mamdani winning the mayoral race or he just sat down on the toilet. I don't know.
The official White House released a statement attacking a talk show host. That's how rattled they are. But wait, it gets better. This wasn't even the first time the White House attacked Navarro. Back in July 2025, they released another statement saying, every time you think Ana Navarro can't get any dumber, she proves you wrong. No one who has any interest in facts or logic should pay attention to whatever Ana is spewing on TV because it's probably wrong or stupid or most likely both. They couldn't even spell her name right. They wrote Navarro with one R, the White House, releasing official statements with spelling errors about a View co-host.
What is that supposed to mean? What would motivate him to post, and so it begins at almost midnight? What would compel him to contact his social media guy, Dan Scavino, that late at night to say, Dan, I need you to post, and so it begins. All caps, Mr. President. Yeah, all caps, you idiot, and put a ... in front of it, too. No wonder Dan Scavino looks like this. I mean, the man's face is all caps.
You truly cannot make this stuff up. Now let's get to Kimmel's Epstein coverage because he has been absolutely savage. When Congress finally voted to release the files, Kimmel opened his show talking about Hurricane Epstein. He said it's a Category 5 and it's expected to make landfall very soon. Then he delivered this line, "We are now one step closer to answering the question, what did the president know and how old were these women when he knew it?" That's a reference to the famous Watergate question about Nixon, and Kimmel applied it to Trump and Epstein on network television.
I want to listen to Kimmel's words on this, because what he said was in jest, but it wasn't. We finally get to find out if the president is linked to this. There are 50,000 documents. If there was something with the president, wouldn't we have seen it by now?
Absolutely. I mean, we had a very contentious election last year, and most certainly they would have diverged this information to the American public.
I think we just diverged from the English language. The word is divulge, FYI. I think this lady went to the same law school as Kim Kardashian. Amanda Maki is her name. She might not be much of a lawyer, but I will say this, she has quite an eye for interior design. If you excuse me, I have to run. They're shooting a porn here in 20 minutes.
He also pointed out that Trump spent months trying to block these files. Then when it became clear Congress was going to pass the bill anyway, Trump suddenly claimed he supported it. Kimmel's take? Trump rolled over faster than that dog Ghislaine Maxwell gets to play with in her country club prison. And when Trump signed the bill, Kimmel warned everyone not to celebrate too early. He said we might not get the real documents. We might get what he called the Epstein files, Donnie's version, like when Taylor Swift re-recorded her albums. Drop a comment below and tell me which Kimmel or Navarro moment has been your favorite. I want to hear from you. Here's what makes this whole situation so incredible. Back in September 2025, the Trump administration actually got Kimmel suspended from ABC. The FCC chairman went on a podcast and threatened to revoke broadcast licenses if stations didn't take action against Kimmel. Within hours, ABC pulled the show. And what did the View hosts do? Ana Navarro went on air and said, "This is what dictators and authoritarians do. It does not matter the ideology. At first, they come for the people with big platforms. At first, they silence the press, but then they come for all of us because their intent is to scare us into silence and self-censorship." Whoopi Goldberg opened the segment by saying, Did y'all really think we weren't going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel? Have you watched the show over the last 29 seasons? No one silences us. The backlash was so intense that ABC brought Kimmel back within a week. And his return episode, it drew over 6 million viewers, the most watched regular episode in the show's history. Trump tried to silence Kimmel and instead made him more popular than ever. Now Trump keeps calling for Kimmel to be fired. He posts about it in the middle of the night. He calls him a bum with no talent. He claims nobody watches the show. But here's the thing. If nobody watches, why is Trump so obsessed? Why is he posting about it at 1 in the morning? Kimmel had the perfect answer. He told his audience that his wife came out of the bathroom and said Trump tweeted that he should be fired again. And Kimmel's response? He said, "Oh," and went downstairs to make bagels for his kids. That's how unbothered he is. Meanwhile, Anna Navarro just called Trump an orange buffoon on Instagram. She posted a screenshot of Trump reversing his position on the Epstein files with the caption, "The orange buffoon knows he lost." She's also been calling him heartless and soulless after his response to the DC plane crash. She said he blamed DEI without any evidence and called it incredibly irresponsible. These two have figured out something important. Trump cannot handle being mocked. He cannot handle being exposed. And when you do both at the same time, he completely spirals. He posts unhinged rants at midnight. His White House releases misspelled attack statements. His FCC chairman threatens broadcast licenses. It's chaos. And through it all, Kimmel and Navarro just keep going. They keep making jokes. They keep stating facts. They keep asking the questions Trump doesn't want asked. Kimmel said he'll go when Trump goes. Something tells me neither one of them is going anywhere. And honestly, I'm here for every single moment of it.